Hi everyone, and welcome to Medical Terminology. So this series will be using Exploring Medical Language 10th edition. And I'm going to assume that you already have this book because you are looking up this video, and you're probably looking up your textbook and videos to supplement your formal instruction. Yeah, overall I would say this is a really good textbook, and it has a lot of really good exercises in it that you should go through and utilize to really solidify the terminology in your head. I think that they're really good. And also just for reading and reviewing, it's really good. Okay, and also if you have the flashcards that come with the book, those are excellent for this class. Okay, a really terminology heavy class. Flashcards are the way to go. So highly recommend the book, highly recommend the flashcards. Yeah, let's just get right into it. So chapter 1 is very important to understand in order to be successful for the rest of the class, okay? Because in chapter 1, we're going to be introduced to the word parts, the word roots, prefixes, suffixes, and combining vowels, and the rules for combining these word parts to build medical terms. We're going to use all these rules and everything for the rest of the course. So it is really important that you get this down now the first time, okay? So chapter 1, we want to describe the origins of medical language. So let's do that. So medical terminology, we have, oh, wait, this slide is not working. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. So in medical terminology, we have words that are built from Greek and Latin word parts, and we have words that are not. So examples of words that are not include what you see on the screen. So it includes acronyms, which we encounter in our everyday life. I'm sure you're very well familiar with these, but in the medical field, these would include things like laser, which stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Okay, these are just terms formed from the first letters of words in a phrase, which you know, okay? Eponyms are terms derived from the name of a person or a place. So examples would include the Apgar score, named after the person who named it, Apgar, and West Nile virus, named after the first geographical location the virus was identified. Okay, and then we have modern language terms. These are derived from the English language. So this includes nuclear medicine scanner. Okay, so these are modern terms, all right? These weren't around 100 years ago, obviously. We didn't have nuclear medicine scanners 100 years ago. But yeah, you get the point. Okay, and then the other category of word parts are then Greek and Latin word parts. So these are words that we can actually break down and analyze to directly translate and identify their meanings. So we will get into that. But first, let's review. Identify these words by origin. So hepatitis is not normally divided like that, but I threw that in there so we could see what is going on, that it's divided right there. But hepatitis. What do you think that word is by origin? So if you said that that is a Greek and Latin word part, then you are correct. So that's a terrible check mark. So itis stands for inflammation, and then hepat stands for liver. So this word just means, wow, this writing software is really bad. Inflammation. I don't normally write like this badly, just so you guys know. Information of the liver. Okay? And then we have AIDS. What do you think that one is? So if you said that this is a acronym, then you are correct. And I will not write out the actual full meaning for that. You guys get the point. Robotic surgery. That is a modern language term. Okay, and then finally Zika virus. Okay, that is an eponym. So I hope you got those right. Zika virus comes from the Zika forest of Uganda. This is where the virus was first isolated in 1947. So If you remember, eponyms come from the name or the place that they were named after. So Zika is named after the Zika forest of Uganda. So there you go. Fun fact. Okay. So like I said, our two types of medical terms are terms built from word parts and then terms that are not built from word parts. So terms built from word parts are word parts of Greek and Latin origin that are put together, and that can be directly translated to find their meaning. So here we have arthritis. If you remember from just a slide ago, itis stands for inflammation, and then arthur means joint. So I'm not going to write it out. I think you can figure it out, that arthritis means inflammation of the joint. Okay? And then we have terms not built from word parts, which we just went over the first three, but the fourth one is a new one. It is terms of Greek and Latin word parts that cannot be easily translated to find their meaning. Okay, so an example of this they provided is orthopedics. So, I mean, that word kind of looks like it could be directly translated, but it really can't. It's not easily it's not easily translated. So, it is a term that is not built from word parts. Okay, let's do a quick review once more. So Parkinson's disease would be considered as a term. So I hope you said B, not built from word parts. Why? Because it is an eponym. It is named after something. That's pretty easy to see. Osteoarthritis would be considered as a term. Hope you said A. It is built from word parts, and I put these little dashes in between just to show you the word parts. Itis, remember what that means, is inflammation. Osteo is a new one. It means bone, and arthur means joint. So put these all together, reading from this side, the itis side, the right side, inflammation of the bone and joint. Okay, so we have 4 word parts. We have the word root, which is the fundamental meaning of a medical term. All medical terms must contain at least one word part that conveys the fundamental meaning, which makes sense. I mean, you can't have a word without some meaning to it. And then we have a prefix, which is attached to the beginning, okay? Before all the other words. That's how you remember that. Prefix, beginning of a medical term, to modify its meaning. Okay, prefixes usually indicate a number, position, direction, time, negation. So, for example, number, we might have a prefix that is bi. Okay, so like 2. So bilateral. Lateral is, or latero rather, is the word root, the combining form, but we'll get to that in a second. And then bi is the prefix, which means 2. So latero means side, prefix means 2. So bilateral would mean pertaining to 2 sides, or both sides rather. Okay? Or a position, an example of a prefix that would be a position could be sub. So remember we talked about hepat earlier, which means liver. Ic, hepatic would mean pertaining to the liver. If we had subhepatic, sub means under, like submarine, think of it like that. It would be subhepatic, pertaining to under the liver. Okay, so you can see how the prefix changes its meaning. Hepatic is just pertaining to the liver. But if we want to talk about the area under the liver, we have to add a prefix, and it completely changes its meaning. Okay, so then we have suffixes that are attached to the end of a medical term to modify its meaning. So they often indicate a procedure or a condition. Combining vowels are used to ease pronunciation. Usually it's an O. So combining vowel connects word roots or a word root and a suffix. So it just eases the pronunciation. And you'll see how that works in a second. So we have the word root and the combining form. So like I said, word roots are the core of the word, the fundamental meaning. But most medical terms have one or more word roots. The combining form is a word root with its combining vowel attached. So which one do you think is the combining vowel here? It's the O. Okay, and then the onc is the word root. So the combining form is the word root plus the combining vowel. So the combining form is going to be onco. And then, so what's this? What's logist? What's that doing there? That's the suffix, okay? It's at the end of the medical term and it modifies its meaning, as you'll see in a second. Here's a suffix. Attached to the end of a word root, provides additional information, modifies meaning. So hepatitis. Remember what itis means? Inflammation. So itis is a suffix that means inflammation. So inflammation of the liver. You might be wondering where the O is. We just said that O, that combining vowel, eases pronunciation. But I mean, think of it logically. Hepatoitis, does that ease pronunciation? Or is hepatitis better? I would say hepatitis is better, but there are official rules for that, and I'll show you those in just a second. So then we have prefixes. These are attached to the beginning of the word. They provide additional information, modify meaning. We already went over this. So here's an example. Intra. Intra is the prefix. It comes before all the rest. So S is another word that means pertaining to. And you read from this way to this way. So, or this way, and then you jump back. So it goes pertaining to, within the vein. If you guess that that word means vein, you are correct. Some words aren't that difficult. So pertaining to, within the vein. So if you just said Venus, then, I mean, pertaining to the vein, okay. But if you want to specify, if you want to change its meaning, you have to say intra, pertaining to, within the vein, intravenous. Okay? So then we have some rules, and there's a nice table within the textbook for this to get familiar with. Highly recommend that. We'll look at this briefly though. You're not going to just memorize this quickly though. You are going to want to review this a little bit, and there's a nice exercise. Let's see, I think it's exercise 7, or one of those, like page 9, 10, 11, around there, that will help you practice this, because this is important. You want to know when to use a combining vowel and when not to. So, when connecting a word root and a suffix, a combining vowel is used if the suffix does not begin with a vowel. Okay, so an example of this one, I just want to show you guys really quick, is oops, that's not right, arthropathy. So a combining vowel is used if the suffix does not begin with a vowel. Okay, so what's the suffix? It's pathy. Okay, pathy does not begin with a vowel, so the combining vowel is used. Okay, think about if that combining vowel wasn't there. Arthropathy. Okay, that's not that easy to pronounce. Arthropathy is a lot better, smoother, makes more sense. So, arthropathy. Okay, number 2, when connecting a word root and a suffix, a combining vowel is usually not used, even if the suffix begins, usually not used. That's weird. I think I messed up the formatting. 1 second. Okay, I was confused for a second, but just get rid of the even. I don't know what that's doing there. Okay, combining vowel is usually not used if the suffix begins with a vowel. Okay, so a good example of this one is hepatic. Okay, so ic is a suffix that also means pertaining to, just so you know. We have multiple pertaining tos, as you will see. So combining vowel is usually not used if the suffix begins with a vowel. So this suffix does begin with a vowel, so combining vowel will not be used, usually. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, think about it. If you had hepatoic, that doesn't really sound right. Hepatic. Okay? Number 3, when connecting 2 word roots, a combining vowel is usually used even if vowels are present at the junction. So let's go back to the example we used earlier. Osteoarthritis. Okay? So first let's start here. Going back to number 2 for a second. Combining vowel is not used if the suffix begins with a vowel. Again, begins with a vowel, so we're not going to use a combining vowel here. But going back to number 3, combining vowel is usually used even if vowels are present at the junction when connecting 2 root words. So oste and arthur are 2 root words. Arthur means joint, oste means bone. So these are 2 word roots. They both start, that doesn't matter if this one starts with, but this one starts with a vowel. But it's still going to use a combining vowel. So osteoarthritis. Okay? Number 4, when connecting a prefix and a word root, a combining vowel is not used. Subhepatic. Think about it. Subo-hepatic, that wouldn't really make sense or sound right, I guess. So, yeah, don't put a combining vowel there. It's good the way it is. So, subhepatic. Oh, that means, I think we went over this earlier, but ick pertaining to, sub is under, hepat is liver. So this is pertaining to, under the liver. Okay, review question. The word part that is the core of the word is what? Okay, I hope you said C. If you said C, we're going in the right direction, so let's keep going. Review question. If vowels are present at the junction of two root words such as Osti and Arthur, in a medical term, a combining vowel is usually still used. A. So I hope you said A. If you didn't, go back and do the exercises on page 9, 10, 11. Even if you got it right, go and do the exercises because they're really good. Go do them. Okay. Whoops, we skipped ahead. All right, so now we want to analyze and define medical terms. We've learned quite a lot already, so maybe we can put some of this to practice, okay? Let's analyze and define this. Okay, I've said this one actually quite a few times now, so you probably know it, but we're gonna break it down and analyze it. Because it might help you for some words as we get a little bit more into things. It might help you to break them down and analyze each individual part to translate and figure out what the whole term is. So let's just learn how to do that really quick. So step 1 is to add slashes. You add slashes where in between each word part. So we have the suffix here and we have the word root here, so we're going to put a dash in between. Then we want to label the word parts. Suffix, S for suffix, WR for word root. Okay, now apply the definition of word parts starting with the suffix. Itis, inflammation. Arthro, joint. Arthritis, inflammation of the joint. Notice how we dropped the combining vowel. We don't need it. The suffix starts with a vowel, so we will not use the combining vowel. Arthritis, inflammation of the joint. Which of the following is analyzed correctly? Okay, so I hope that you said B. This is the word root, this is the connecting vowel, and this is the suffix. The word root plus the connecting vowel equals the combined form. Word root, what are they doing here? Why are these wrong? So this is the word root. They say this is the connecting vowel. That's right. This is the suffix. Yeah, that's right. But then they divide the E, and I'm not sure why they did that, because otherwise it's correct. But this final E is not a suffix. Pathy is the suffix, the whole thing. Okay, as it's shown here. And then let's see. I'm going to see that this one is wrong because Arthur is not a prefix. It's the word root. So that's wrong. Moving on. We're going to have a real example really quick for building a medical term. Oh, spoiler alert, the answer's already there. But it's okay. So we have this cool diagram of, bone joint inflammation. So here's a bone and cartilage, joint capsule, synovial membrane. But in this image, the bone thickens, bony proliferation occurs, and articular cartilage thins and degenerates. Okay, so there's a lot of bad things going on here, things that we don't want to happen, okay? All right, so this is the normal knee joint, and then this is the affected knee joint. And what is it affected with? Well, if this answer wasn't here, we could translate, but well, we can translate anyway. So inflammation, itis, bone, osti, joint, Arthur, And remember, 2 word roots. We have to join it with a connecting vowel. Osteoarthritis, inflammation of the bone and joint. That's what's happening in this image. So it's good. This image is in your textbook, and it's good to practice with these images, because a lot of times this is what your teacher will put on the test and exam. So yeah, that is the end of chapter 1. I recommend going over the exercises and the questions at the end of the chapter, and all the review and everything, and maybe look at the online portion of the textbook. Do any practice or utilize any of those. So I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.